Welcome back to another episode of Muse where we talk about anything creative. You have your host, Ezra.
And Asim, and today we have a guest.
Jocelyn, a.k.a. J. Renee.
Dang, all right.
Okay.
Nobody got to tell her to talk about herself. All right,
No, put your socials out there. Tell me what you do, all that.
So I am a fashion designer. You can find me at _jrenee.designs_. That's JRENEE.designs_.
Dope.
And I handmake clothing. I do a lot of customs. I'm really big on sustainability, so I'll like recycle, upcycle clothing, and that's like my whole business.
That's exciting. And before we actually get more into it, if you haven't realized, we have a different background. We're in Baltimore, the hometown.
honestly, I'm excited to be back. Gunshots, everything's fine. I'm joking. I'm
Baltimore
playing.
tour underway. So, as you said you're into. Actually, where are we? Where are we right now?
We're at the Under Armour campus, B37. We're in the back where we have lunch and stuff, but this is where I work, or my internship.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your internship.
So I am an apparel design rookie for the Black Futures program.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm paired with two other design rookies, one for footwear and one for graphic design. And we all come together to create a head-to-toe look that's apparel and shoes. That represents a Gen Z athlete, which is ages 16 to 20, resembles sustainability and equity, and has to be gender fluid.
That's dope. I actually like that. That is a lot, though, but...
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's interesting.
How's your experience so far here?
It's been amazing. Everyone here is really nice, really sweet, really engaging, and they love to help with whatever we need. I just had a sewing class today, which was really fun. It was really fun.
That's fire. So, is this your first internship opportunity? Or internship position?
Actually, yes. Yes, it is. So I was really lucky to get one in my field and at a big company like this. So, yeah.
Dope. Yeah, that kind of leads into, as we know, you are a designer yourself. You're a fashion designer yourself. And, sometimes when you're your own person that want to have these big creative ideas, it's hard to work under somebody. So how do you feel like it's transitioned from being your own artist to working in a big corporate company?
I think with anything that you want to do on your own and make money from it, there's always a business side of it. So I know being at a big company, you learn a lot of the ins and outs of how the business runs. So then I'll take that back into my business and use those things to promote and prolong my my journey and things like that. So it really helps being here. Even though in the back of my mind I'm I wish I was home sewing or making something, but being here, it really helps. Any questions that I have, they're answered, and everyone's here to help. Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking about it smart. I know, for one, even if it was an actual position, if you have the mindset that you're going into this, of course, you got to have your way of support while you're building your own business, but you're going to take their model and adjust it to how it can work for you as a smaller company that eventually grow as big as you want it to be. Exactly. So that's definitely a great factor.
Also, networking is a big thing. Being at a big company, you meet a bunch of people. You never know what they can do, what they can do for you, and it's just networking is very important as well. Yeah.
Do you feel like you learned certain tricks in networking from here, or is it kind of figured out?
It's probably figured out. I'm a people person, so I love to talk, and so I don't mind talking to people, but it really is figuring it out. And at least here, they have a thing called Rookie Week, where all the rookies from wherever they're from get together for a whole week and have networking events. So they make us talk to people, basically.
Okay. Dang, so that's interesting. Do you get to... So how much of your personal work do you get to bring into what you do here?
Well, mixing in our brief that we have to hit these certain points, the creative part is still on us.
Okay.
So the things that I designed, yes, it came from our brief and all of our research, but it still has a part of me in it because I designed it, and it's not for the masses. It's just for this project, so I can be a little more creative than the other people that actually work here could, just for general stuff.
That's super interesting because me and Ezra talks about this all the time. When it comes down to being an artist that's getting into a corporate field, you can sometimes feel okay, you might not be able to attack it with your own vision because you gotta like keep in mind somebody else is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So like, you know, Ezra's talking about, you know, he got internship opportunities coming up. He's been doing things like doing like murals and stuff like that.
Nice.
But a lot of times it's like he's being a helping hand on somebody else's vision. So like, I guess you're seeing now firsthand, like, do you see like, I guess you got into working in a field like this, the scope of where you'll be able to grow with your ideas and stuff?
Yeah, I definitely think so. At least here we're big on like collaboration, so that's also a good thing. I love to work with other people, and working with my team is really cool. So I take a lot of what I learn here and take it back to what I do. So yeah,
that's fire.
It's actually one of my coworkers. Hi, Adrian.
Keep in mind, guys, we're on the Under Armour campus right now. So right now, there's a lot of people walking around. This is something new for us as well. So it's very interesting. You got birds chirping as well. So that works for some more immersion.
Yeah, but I feel like back to like mixing your own creativity in it. That's an interesting factor because depending on like what industry you work in, I know some people have a problem with like trying to hold back some of their own creative ideas, especially like in like film and things like that. When you're involved with story and you have your own stories, it's like, oh, how I add to their creativeness, but also keep what I want as a thing that is me. But then at the same time, the way you're speaking of design is kind of interesting because it seems like everything you do, you know, if it's like it's fully credited towards you. Or,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we have a whole thing at the end of the summer. And we get to present it at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum. Oh. So, like, anybody can come. So it's like
you're an individual within under, like, a bigger company, which I think is really dope and really depends on the industry you're in. So that's an interesting point I took from it.
And the fact that it's the rookie programs, but if I were, like, an actual employee, I would have, like, certain guidelines that I would have to follow. And I probably couldn't be as creative as I wanted to be. So, yeah.
That's fire. So what got you into fashion, like, in general?
Sorry, excuse me. What got me into fashion? I've been sewing since I was like 8 years old.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
8 years, look, I couldn't even talk that good when I was 8. So to be able to sew at 8 is insane.
8 years, you couldn't talk it?
Maybe when I was like 11.
Oh, sorry.
That's a little too personal.
Yeah. But other than that, middle and high school, I went to art school. So that kind of honed in on like my artsy side. Yeah. And then
throw the art school out.
Huh?
What the art school you went to?
What? High school?
Yeah.
Oh, Carver Center.
BSA is way better.
I actually don't know the difference though. Like, I don't know like.
I
don't know Carver that well.
Carver got a lot of stuff at a bunch of museums.
I heard they upgraded that shit though.
Yeah.
I heard that.
And y'all do got sports, but you know it's just look, y'all don't got Tupac though. Y'all don't got Jada though. Now we don't even care about Jada no more.
Don't do her like that.
Is dead, so.
Right. No.
So like, who do y'all really have?
Nobody.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We have Ezra Kumba.
Right. What about Nassim Rogers? Does he count too?
We got Nassim.
So that's cool. So you was like doing fashion in Carver.
I was doing like visual arts, and then once I graduated, I realized I'm like, I don't want to do this. I like painting anymore.
That's what I was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you if it was just fashion straight through, but it seems like it was.
It was all visual arts, and then I started like implementing fabrics and stuff into my paintings because that's where I wanted to go. And then right out of high school, I went to Ep.20, Baltimore City Community College, and studied fashion design.
That's cool.
Okay. What do you think? What is your process to coming up with like a piece or something that you're doing? Because I'm curious. I want to know everybody's process.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like off the dome. I mean, everyone's always being influenced by something. Like you're always intaking things. You're always seeing stuff on the media, wherever. But I think for me, it's like I'll see some of my fabrics, right, and then I'm like, oh, I think I want to make something like this, or like put these colors together and make a patchwork, this or this, something like that. So it's really just like off the dome, and then I just make it. Yeah.
And that kind of also leads to, now I'm gonna lead it back to what we were just talking about. How did your environment change your process, like from school to by yourself to like doing something like an internship?
Man, it actually went like back and forth. Like in school, we always had a prompt that we'd have to go by to create something. And then when I'm by myself, I just create what I want. So it's different than here. We go by a brief, like something that we have to guidelines that we have to follow. So it takes a lot longer to do the prompt and brief first. More steps, more research. When you're working at a big company, you always have to do research, especially one that is heavy on performance. You got to know who your target customer is. You got to know what they do, how they live, all that good stuff. We had to do all of that. And yeah, it's different than when I'm on my own.
That's interesting. When it comes down to, I guess, you doing your personal work and stuff like that, you think your college background, and that's this for both of y'all, you think your college background really helps out with, I guess, handling like briefings and like with the research side of things? Because if it's your personal work, you still do research and stuff, but it's not like you're expecting anybody else to grade you other than yourself.
Yeah. So I would say, my background in school kind of like puts it into perspective. I guess it's also honed in on my skills so that when I am by myself, I know exactly what I'm doing. It like makes me take all the steps necessary to create. And when I'm by myself, I just do it automatically now that I know it.
I feel like personally, like one thing I took was like thumbnailing. I talk about thumbnailing all the time, especially in illustration and really just getting composition. Because ultimately, like, I'm a storyteller. Like, whether it's a piece or whether it's sequential, I'm a storyteller. And that's why I feel like it's really important to sit down and nail out your story. Like, what is it that you want to communicate? What is it that you just want to tell people or people to learn from? And so that's why I plan out, like, here's a composition. Here's how these elements relate to each other. Here's these, especially when you're illustrating, you're bringing a lot of elements that from things that exist and things that are part of people's cultures and things that are part of your own experiences. So that's why that planning stage for me is now an important factor. And then after that, though, everything else is intuitive.
I love that.
I agree with that though, because even like when you're creating a collection, you want to tell a story. Like, who is the person? Where are they going? Like what is the flow of everything? So like art is like is a story. Like
it's so interesting when you get to see like how, I guess, like, okay, you look at somebody as a fashion designer, illustrator, but they're a lot more than just that. You know, it's a lot more than what meets the eye. You know,
I'm curious for you though. Like, so in photography, do you ever feel like you're taking a picture and then trying to find out their story?
That's interesting. I think that you can go to a place, like for example, a community, whatever, and already have a preconceived story in your head. You know, like you're kind of like looking at things, like looking at book by its cover. But when you're in those places, you can find like some like hidden gems of people that might look misplaced or have a lot more to say than what you think that community has to offer as well. So I think a lot of times it's organic, but as well as, like, for example, if I'm going to a black church to photograph people, I've been in a black church before, I know what to expect, you know. If I'm going to this type of community, I've been there before, I know what to expect. But when you get like something that is like the exact opposite to what you expect, I think it's a lot of power in that.
I feel that. I mean, I feel like, yes, art is a big product to the environment. So, like, a lot of it is kind of a story developing itself just naturally. So that's the great thing about art is, like, sometimes you don't even have to think about the story that much because it's always story. It's always there. Like, especially, like, growing up with culture, or, like, I mean, me personally, I feel like I actually didn't grow up with a lot of strong culture compared to some of my friends who are Chinese or Mexican, or some of my friends who maybe Nigerian or whatever it is. Like, I kind of grew up, I do have some like Filipino heritage somewhere in there, but it's not like I grew up with that culture strongly or very, it wasn't that embedded in my life. So that's when it's kind of like, now you're trying to find your own narrative in a way. And that's why I feel like when you relate it back to art, it's like always going to be there. It doesn't come in the same shape or form as everything else. So it's like every type of story format is different.
It's always different,
I like that. I mean, I feel though, you know, growing up as a black guy as well, like, it's like black people can see like a lot of culture that we're inspired by, and we take and we adapt into ourselves, like, you know, like Wu-Tang Clan, like they was really, you know, inspired by like the Kung Fu movies and stuff like that. And you see all those influences, but then those influences in the way that we, you know, I guess like ingrain ourselves in it now becomes a part of the culture that it comes from, you know? So it comes full circle. And I think that's like the special part about growing up as like a black American person, is because it's like, you can see, okay, bro, I grew up like in this anime, this, that, and the third, and it kind of comes synonymous with who you are as a person as well, you know? So it's like a blank canvas that you can just you can like really uplift a lot of other things from, you know, and adopt a lot of other things from. Talking about, school and art, what, as well as, like personal media as well. You got your own YouTube channel.
Yeah, come find me on YouTube, J Renee DIY. That's the same way I spelled it earlier, plus DIY. Yeah.
Do it yourself. That's what that means. She had to tell me that. I didn't know that's what that
You
meant at first. I didn't know that's what that meant.
Wow.
I'm not really good at acronyms, but
No,
yeah. But anyway,
I ain't kept at first, bro. When I saw DIY, I knew it was for stuff that you basically would do yourself, but I thought it was just a new word.
Right.
Wow.
I was
like, okay, die. All right, oh, cool.
Okay.
It's just the word for people who do it themselves. I was like, oh wait.
It's you have to say DIY. You don't just
I was saying die as well, brother. But
you didn't put dots in between or anything.
No dots.
They're capitals for acronyms.
I like capital letters. I write my name Ezra Cumble bold, capital letters.
So, that's just you.
What would that acronym be? Ezra Cumble. If you just try to do an acronym, I think we should do that someday.
I'm assuming on your YouTube you basically do it yourself, or you you give tips on how to do things.
Yeah, I do YouTube tutorials for sewing and sometimes like get ready with me, or since I'm in my senior year now, I'll do like behind the scenes, and so I just show people like what I do, so you can do it yourself.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but the tutorials, people love those. And I try to make it easy as possible.
Did you start there with do it yourselves?
Yeah, that's how I started. Yeah.
I think the good look. Imagine it's just like, look, this is my get ready today. Do it yourself, guys. They don't know
I don't say it like that. That's just the title of my YouTube name, but
it just grew from there.
Yeah, pretty much. So.
And what's that having, I guess, that community of supporters, because you got a lot of subscribers compared to Muse, so we're on the way though.
Y'all just started.
She gotta give us a shout out or something, you know.
Well, tag me on YouTube, and I think that
we'll add it. Yeah, we make it happen.
Yeah.
But with that community, do you think that as well helps with when you're doing other things within the corporate field, or when you're launching a line now, or an individual line? Do you try to use that community that's involved with, I guess, teaching people fashion now to supporting your fashion ideas and stuff like that?
Yeah, I definitely try to. I post about things that are going on with me, my senior collection or anything that's dropping. I post that on YouTube so people can see it. I'm not that consistent on there, so it's hit or miss. But I still let the people know, and it's there forever. So
yeah,
consistency is so hard. I mean, it's funny because it's so hard, but that's the main thing you need.
That's
really,
all you need. And I just struggle with that.
Facts. No, but that's so relatable though, and I think that sometimes you can't even make art consistently, because you can't be inspired consistently, and life isn't it's resistance. It's resistance in life. Life is not free of resistance. So you can't be fully consistent with stuff when the stuff that's going to continue is pushing you back, or you got to overcome things. And I think that's what makes when you can actually have those strides of consistency important. Because you really worked hard to have that.
I swim through life. I don't know.
That's a beautiful thing, bro. But some
smooth.
people drown, bro. So you gotta just look. All my
because you didn't know how to swim.
I know how to swim.
I'm just saying, if you drown, you don't know how to swim.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
But with that, do you think that a lot of other artists should be looking, I guess, to I know we saw on Instagram one time, to build a supporting and following. You can do, I think Ezra told me this, is you can do two things. You can either entertain or teach.
Entertain or teach, yeah.
Those are the only two?
No, wait. I'm trying to remember.
I forget exactly, but he told me, and it was so cool. So I was trying to, throw it to him. He could throw it back to me.
But someone threw it at me.
They both missed it.
So I mean, ultimately, I think it was mainly talking about yes, you can. A really great ways to grow. There's multiple ways to grow, but really great way. Actually, if you actually think about it, it's entertaining.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because it's you can entertain funny, you can entertain being stupid, you can entertain multiple ways in teaching. But the reason why I really do love teaching over entertainment, I do agree entertainment is good, but teaching is very important to me, because it's just it's you're as humans, we pass down stories. Once again, back into my love for storytelling, it's even though it's not necessarily the traditional form of storytelling, just teaching is a form of sharing that.
That's
like
a
you're
fact.
telling them like, oh, this is what I did. Here's how you can learn off of this.
That's a fact.
This is my mistakes. Here you can learn off of this. So I feel like teaching is a big thing, which is why like I know with these podcasts, you know, before we actually had a podcast that was
purely entertainment.
Purely entertainment.
I remember that one.
Yeah. I was dragged along. So, you know, but like ultimately this one is like I love how it is. It has this entertainment, it has this fun, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I do also love that we're sharing people, and of course as we grow we're gonna let people know more like what we learned.
Yeah.
You know,
and I feel that when people like people walk up to us, you know, people that we know and people that we don't know, like, dude, I saw your podcast, or a friend of mine posted your podcast clip and like, oh bro, that really touched me. And I think that, you know, with you know, teaching or, you know, informing, you know, it's a lot more of a makes you feel better inside, you know. It's more, you know, it's more fulfilling in a lot of ways, you know. That's why I say like you started with teaching and now you can
I still do.
Yeah, you still do teach.
I teach sewing classes at Bowie State.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to come take one. But, you know, do you think that a lot of other creators should like find ways, I guess, to build a platform in that field of either entertaining and teaching, and like then now trickling on, because, you know, we live in the day of social media and stuff, and like trickle over everything else that they do, you know?
I think they should. Like, if you have something that you're like passionate about, tell people about it. You never know who's interested. You never know who wants to see you win. You know, so I'd say like whatever it is content posted.
Yeah. Also, it's just like don't just tell them about it, force it down their throat. Because at the end of the day, it's just like, look, you put your time and you put your love into what you made, and ultimately it's like no one's gonna put it out there but yourself. You can have people that support it, but you're the one who made it, and this is part of yourself. This is part of your identity. This is part of your life. It's like, why not share as much as possible? What's the worst that can happen? They don't support it. But if they don't support it, they want to support it in the first place.
Right.
So if it's that annoying to them, then it's not for them.
But I think the mindset behind that is people who, if you're so passionate about something, you know, like if you love something, it can hurt you if somebody else doesn't, you know, take it the same way you want them to take it. And I mean, that's us as people. And that's just the main thing people got to overcome is that mindset right there. Like at the end of the day, if you love it for you, you share it for you.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, for example, like with this podcast and stuff, you know, like I always want to talk about this stuff, but it's easier to do it, you know, talking in a community, but just putting the camera right on in front of you, like, okay, guys, this, that, and the third, this is what I want to talk about. It can be difficult, you know, because somebody, like, you might think, dude, you want to watch your video? This whack ass, you know what I mean? And it cuts it off, you know, but if no one doing that, you know, it's like Ezra says, either for them or not. But it should be for you.
It doesn't have to be the best thing in the world yet, because when we started this podcast, I have really bad speaking skills. Ultimately, in the beginning, like I couldn't publicly speak like that, and ultimately, I was a performer in a sense. Like I used to dance. I used to do a little bit of acting here and there, but that was just the set of being another character or being letting another side of myself out. But this is like the only thing where I'm like truly myself. What's the word? Authentically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
and, bro, you're speaking, bro. You've been killing this episode. Honestly, I'm like, damn.
The point I'm making is that the more and more you do what you love, and something that you really connect to, you're gonna naturally get better at what you're doing, and people are gonna naturally be drawn in more because it shows that you really care about what you're doing and it's part of yourself. Facts. So it's like you're gonna get better regardless. So don't hold it off and like, oh, I gotta wait till I'm this good to do it. Just start, and you're gonna get there one day.
That's facts. I think when you're speaking on this, that genuine connection, you know, like you genuinely connect to what you're doing. When you're drawing, when you're making this content, when you're here, you genuinely connect to what you don't feel like is you're out where you're not supposed to be, because this is who you are. You align yourself with it.
Exactly.
And I feel that like if you bite trends, you fall off if you're not getting that type of response, because that's not even what you're supposed to be doing. That's not your calling. But if you're really on your wave and you just surfing that, you're straight.
But this is how, like, to relate it back to you, it's just like, when you're learning how to sew, it wasn't like you're good at first.
Oh, absolutely.
And I feel like, to be honest, I feel like the person that you should care about the most when it comes to opinions is yourself. So if you can go through that process of learning by yourself and be bad and end up being amazing one day, why can't you do that when it comes to sharing what you do? Because it's all the same.
You got to start somewhere.
You know, it's all the same.
Yeah. I was terrible. I still have my old projects that I've never finished because they were so bad in like a box somewhere. Like, it was bad. But I'm good now.
Are you good now?
I'm good now.
Yeah.
I got it like that.
How do you get better? Like, what's your main thing?
Keep doing it.
Just keep doing it.
Keep doing it. Yes.
It's no other easier answer than that.
No.
It's no cheat code?
No, you just gotta keep doing it. I do appreciate sewing classes, so even though I feel like I know enough to do what I want to do, I would still take more if I could. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like, I know I said this in the last podcast, not the last podcast, but in an old ass podcast.
Yeah.
Where I was basically just saying, like, just because you feel like you are proficient in what you do, that doesn't mean you can't go back on the levels you think you passed and learn some more.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely say that again, just in case people missed that episode.
Bro, and I second that. Like, I tell anybody, like, bro, you want to get into being a mechanic, electrician, you want to get into being a chef, all that, you know, like, you got to just make that you. Watch content on that, read articles on that, get books. Like, you can expect to get better. You know, I used to love basketball. My dad used to like, oh, you like basketball so much, why you don't watch it? You can't expect to get better if you're not consuming that type of entertainment or consuming that type of art style, you know, like back when I was getting into drawing, you know how you say you started with like DIYs or whatever. I started with like, you know, like drawing how to draw this character or this character. And like you saw the stuff I used to do back at BDS with like Vegeta and stuff like that. But I'm just following, okay, you do a line right here, okay, all right. You know, that gets you better, but you gotta keep at it. You know, you can't say I want to do this and not even ever watch nothing or consume any type of information that have to do with that and expect to get better.
Immerse yourself in it.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And definitely, I feel like you have to think about the reason why you're doing things. So ultimately, a lot of people like may learn skills because they want to make money. And when it comes to creative practices, I definitely think the core of it should be enjoyment, because it's like, how do you keep going? Like you said, how do you become so good at it? Yeah, you keep going, but another part is because you actually generally liked what you were doing, and that's how you kept going. So I feel like you had to align yourself with the idea that this is just part of yourself and not like another means to make money. I mean, great, it's good to make money from it, which is why you start doing other things like little side quests that relate to this original skill. But I'm like fighting with these birds. We about to scratch, but like related, like, you know, that relates to these skills, and that's how you bring it back into yourself. You know.
Yeah, I agree. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't be here.
That's facts. I mean, as simple as you, I would just say this: a lot of people fall in love with being good at something. You know, if they're not good at it, they drop it like that. You gotta fall in love with just getting better at something little by little. Don't matter how little that progression is. You gotta fall in love with that process, that journey. You know.
But like, I do have to say, I started at a time where I didn't care about what other people thought. I was young. I don't care. This is what I love to do. And so like for people now, if they're like just getting started and they're at an age where, you know, peer pressure is on, they still might not be into it because they don't want to share what they have because they're scared. But I started at a time where I didn't care, and so now that I kind of still don't care, I'm still gonna go. I'm still gonna keep going regardless of what feedback I get.
That child mindset, because you said you started when you was younger at 8.
Yeah.
That child mindset, you still try to bring that child mindset into your art today when you're like, I guess, that freedom within your art.
I don't know. I never thought about that. I don't really remember what I thought. I do remember I was really proud of myself. I was in like a little magazine. My first dress I made, I do remember that. So like little things like that recognition does keep me going a little bit. But yeah, I think I could probably go back and like reflect on how I felt back then and relate it to now. I could do that.
And it's funny that you talk about that, because it's like my end goal in life. Like, this is like, I don't know. I don't even know if I told you this. I probably did. But my end goal in life over everything, like, you know, of course it's like, oh, you can have a family, you do this, there's a certain type of success you want in art, blah, blah, blah. But my only end goal in life is to return back to the state of mind when I was a child, where I'm just enjoying that I'm just living my life being happy. And I feel like sometimes as you grow older, you can't fight the fact that, oh, you gotta pay rent, you need to eat food, you need to do this. I just can't wait. And obviously, it's not like I'm not trying to. I'm trying to, but I just can't wait till I fully get to the point where it's just like I'm a kid again. Back to that mindset.
Yeah.
Back to that, like, you know, livelihood.
For sure, bro. I think the Mac Miller thing, I could be wrong. They don't be upset with me if I'm wrong, but I think Mac Miller had this thing where he said, "Stay kids," you know, and like I had a boy. He wanted to tattoo that on his legs, and I thought that was a really cool tat because I think that's what everybody should strive to do. Like you said, stay in that free mindset. And I know life, like anything, you know, the enemy will try to like beat you down, confuse you, pull you from who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to think, you know, the freedom you're supposed to have. But that's just an illusion. That's not real. You know, what's real is that, like you said, that joy inside your heart that you was born with, you know, and that's the only thing that you should be striving to, you know, cater to and maintain.
I like that.
Yeah. And I hope that our joy continues. I feel like we had a wonderful episode.
We did.
Definitely said a lot. Honestly, the topic, I don't even know what we were talking about, but I loved what we talked about.
Yeah, no, for real.
That's true.
We just beating off each other. It was cool. It was good energy.
You said it was going to be a conversation. You just said, bow, question here, bow, question here. Like, whatever the topic is this.
So I'm
watching it. I'm watching it right now.
Chatting. But,
thank you so much, guys, for tuning to this episode of The Muse. Today we had
Jocelyn.
And make sure to follow her on all platforms. We're going to leave the link to all our stuff in the link below. I'm the caption in the description. She probably does this better than me.
Yeah.
But we're going to say leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're new, hit that bell icon. Jesus Christ.
Those notifications.
Yeah.
But it's a worrying thing. You just can't talk any every time. Like I get better. Like from the jump, I'm bad, but I get better. Nasim just can't talk in every podcast. Maybe a couple of seconds, maybe a whole podcast.
I got a speech impediment. Find your Muse.
Impediment. Got speech impediment.